I would like to call in Engineer Bryan for the interview with Engineer Gregorio Villar III.
Okay, yeah. Hi, Greg. Thank you for the presentation. It's very, inspirational and very enlightening also.
My
and
pleasure.
then actually, I prepared some questions here, but I think some of the questions have already been answered with your presentation. So I'll just skip those and then, well, for the start, yeah, actually in the Philippines, for engineers in the Philippines, being in NASA is like a lofty goal. I mean, it's like if you talk about NASA, it's like it's up there. So I would just like to ask, what's the best part of being a NASA engineer?
Brian, well, first of all, I want to say that it's super cool that you work at the Philippine Space Agency.
Yeah. Okay.
I heard about that about a few years ago, and I was really proud to hear that the Philippines now has their own space agency. So I would love to visit one day when I get back to the Philippines. My favorite thing about being a NASA engineer, honestly, I have a spreadsheet of everything I love about working at NASA. And at the very top of that list are the people I work with. They're all super smart. Everyone's smarter than I am, as I like to say. But they're also just really cool people. People who inspired me outside of work too, and they become my friends and my family. Even the landing team, we would play pranks on each other, right? When someone goes on vacation, we would fill their entire office with balloons. Or my other friend, we covered everything in foil. Every Christmas, we have our own holiday cards. Every Halloween, we have our team costumes. We were just a really great team together, and just, we support each other like a family. And so that's the thing I love the most about working at NASA is, of course, we do super cool things, but everyone there just so brilliant and so down to earth.
Wow, that's very cool. Yeah, okay. So yeah, now let's talk about Perseverance. What were the objectives of building the rover, and how was it different from the other missions like Pathfinder, Curiosity, among others?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Mars exploration, we've been doing kind of in steps, right? First, kind of the earlier missions was wondering, is there water on Mars? And so the earlier rovers went to see, was there water on Mars? And the answer is yes. And the ultimate goal is to eventually find out if there's been life on Mars. So the way we're going to do that is, it's really hard to kind of substitute the technology and laboratories we have on Earth. And so one of the main objectives of Perseverance is it is the first leg of what's called the Mars Sample Return Campaign. So the Perseverance rover's job is to collect little samples. It's going to collect them in these little test tubes, and they're going to leave it on the ground. And hopefully in about 6 to 8 years, we'll send another mission there to pick up these samples. And then this mission will put these samples in a ball, and we're going to launch this ball from Mars up into the Martian atmosphere. And then another mission will come grab that ball and bring it back to Earth. So that's one of the things we're expecting Perseverance to do, is collect these samples for future mission to bring back.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, you mentioned you worked on the landing, right? And then I think for Curiosity and Perseverance, you used the sky crane technology, right? So moving forward, it's like, is it the way to land other missions to Mars? Is it the?
It really depends on the size and the mass of what you're landing. So there are these smaller rovers, Pathfinder, Mars Exploration Rover, Spirit and Opportunity. And when we land them, we didn't use the sky crane. We basically just dropped them on these huge airbags, and they were just bouncing around. And the reason why we had the sky crane was because Curiosity and Perseverance was just way more massive. So we couldn't put them on airbags where it would just break the airbags. So I bring that up because if we send more things to Mars that are about the same size and weight, then sure, we can use the sky crane. But for humans, we might have to think that through, right? Because human missions are going to be much bigger, much more massive when we send their habitats and humans themselves. So it really depends on what you're sending, how big and how massive they are.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, for my next question, actually, we can also, well, I can also relate this. Yeah, actually, I've read on about Mars missions. It has a relatively low success rate, right? It's like, I think historically speaking, it's like around 48%. So yeah, but this has already been answered with your clip on what you felt when you after the rover, I mean, after the spacecraft experienced you call it the 7 minutes of terror, right? So yeah, because for us also when we built Diwata-1, we also were very, very scared during the time. Then afterwards, when we first received the first signal from the satellite, we were also like, so we were also very happy with it. So I can only imagine for you guys to wait for like 7 months and then after that receive the first signal and then you were so happy. So yeah, I just want to bring that. It's a very cool video, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And it's hard for people not in the space industry to appreciate this because we go through life. For example, going to school, you'll take a test and you spend about a week studying for a test and you know the result, right? Or maybe at work, you're working for a few months for a quarterly report or something. But in space, it takes much longer time to just send one object into whether it's Earth's atmosphere or another planet. So really, there's a large investment. Just imagining working on one thing for a long period of time and the slight chance that it could not work is kind of heartbreaking, right? Even something like Diwata or any other satellites, you could put that on the launch vehicle and the launch vehicle can blow up, right? And that would just be like all your work gone. So that's why it's such a huge investment to see something work successfully in space because space is hard. And if it works, it's time to celebrate.
Yeah. So yeah, after the success of the Perseverance rover, what are you currently working on at NASA? Is there a new rover on the way or a new mission to other planets perhaps?
Yes. So of course, the Mars rovers are just a small part of NASA. There's a whole team working on getting astronauts to the moon. I'm helping a little bit with that right now.
Okay.
Eventually, we want to go to Mars. There's a lot of there's missions that are going to go to one of the moons of Jupiter called Europa. So there's a lot of things NASA's working on as well. And, we're just very grateful for kind of all the support that we get from the public because it's something that we should be doing, right? Space exploration. And so anything that you can think of space exploration wise, NASA's working on.
Yeah. So yeah, actually, for my next question, we read in the news that Elon Musk is rather aggressive in colonizing space, particularly Mars. So, what are your thoughts on this? Is this feasible within our lifetime, or it's still science fiction in the foreseeable future?
First of all, I'm a huge fan of Elon Musk.
Okay.
And there's a lot of critics out there, but I think what he does well, regardless if you believe him or not, is inspire exploration, right? And same thing goes for people like Jeff Bezos. Jeff has his own company, Blue Origin. If you were to ask me, which you are, I think within at least my lifetime, we can get a human to Mars. I'm hoping in the next 20, 30 years, but we're not there yet today.
Yeah.
And the movie I love to bring up is The Martian with Matt Damon. I've seen this movie like 10 times, listened to the audiobook. It's amazing. It's great. You guys should read it or watch it. But a lot of the technology seen there is what we're going to need to go to Mars, to send a human to Mars. And we're not there yet. But something like the Perseverance rover is helping. One important thing we're going to need at Mars is oxygen. And to bring oxygen there is just very expensive, very heavy. So Perseverance actually has an instrument on board called MOXIE. And MOXIE is supposed to inhale the Martian atmosphere and exhale oxygen. And we've demonstrated that already. So we're there, doing little baby steps here and there. Companies like Blue Origin and SpaceX, they're kind of building up the technologies we need to send bigger objects into space. So I'm hoping that in the next 10 or 20 years, we can send a human there. And colonizing sounds a little more ambitious, but I'm hopeful.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you mentioned the Martian. Actually, in the movie, I've seen also they're actually growing potatoes in Mars, right? Is that really feasible? I mean, you could actually grow potatoes there.
I'm not a botanist, so I'm not gonna. I don't know. I'm gonna say I don't know.
Yeah. So with all these plans of space exploration, going to Mars, factor in the risk of deep space travel, as well as the hazards of the Martian atmosphere. I've read somewhere that they have like this global dust storms.
Right.
If given a chance, will you agree to be one of the first Martian settlers?
That answer has changed throughout my life. right now, I would say absolutely. It'd be a huge honor to be one of the first humans to go to Mars, right? And I'm actually in the middle of my second astronaut application, but it's really hard to be an astronaut. And you know, when I was younger, coming out of college, I just go, yes, automatically, let's go into space. I don't have family to worry about. I'm still young. Let's do this. But as I've aged through life, you know, there are different priorities, right? Eventually, I might want a family, and that'll be the priority. And there are astronauts who have families as well. But also in graduate school, I took a class called Human Spaceflight. And that's when I realized how tedious and how dangerous and how agonizing space travel is, right? You have to be by yourself in a small room or just a few people. There's just so much radiation that you have to be protected from. You have to figure out how to live uncomfortably in small beds and the same food all the time. So it becomes less and less appealing the more comfortable you get in life. But you know, it would be such a huge honor if I was chosen to be one of the first few people to go to Mars. Then it's kind of hard to turn that down.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah. So going back to the Perseverance rover, in its mission, what will really surprise you that the rover will find out in Mars?
If there are Martians, right? Like if we see them walking around, you know, just sending these pieces of technology already surprises me, right? For example, this is the first time we put cameras to monitor the landing events. So if you guys have not seen it, look up landing video Perseverance. These are actual footage of landing on Mars, which we've never had before. They're mind-blowing. And also we had a helicopter called Ingenuity.
Yeah, Ingenuity.
So that was the first flight on another planet. You can see these videos of a helicopter that we brought that's working on Mars. So it's already surprised me a lot. And it's just such a great mission and the beginning of, you know, human exploration on Mars. But yeah, if you see an alien, that's pretty much case closed, right? That's what, I mean, I feel like that's what we're all looking for is, are we alone? And I think that's one of the more fundamental questions that drives space exploration.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, so in the Philippines, there's been an increased interest in space science and technology. So what's your message to engineers and aspiring engineers that might want to embark on this journey?
I'm going to go a little more abstract, and there's a lot of pieces of advice I've been giving the past few years, but the one that really sticks to me is making sure you do something that you love. And that's very important. I heard that early on in my life, and I'm like, okay, yeah, do something you love. But looking back at the past 10 to 12 years at JPL or NASA, it's very rare that I felt like I was doing actual work because I loved it so much. And that's important for several reasons, because when you're on these big space projects, there's a lot, you know, you get sometimes very stressful situations, a lot of work, and it's not going to be enjoyable if you don't love what you do. So make sure you do something that you love. That's my advice to everyone growing up, is just find something you love to do and do that.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. So yeah, so to end on the lighter note, we prepared a quick fast talk session. Okay. So it's kind of like I prepared some questions here, and then just answer with the first thing that comes to mind. Bawal mag-isip, bawal mag-explain, just boom. Okay. So are you ready? Okay. Okay. Sorry, let's start. Okay. Favorite sci-fi film?
Contact.
Do you believe in aliens?
Absolutely.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Okay. Favorite superhero?
Iron Man.
Favorite Filipino ulam?
Kare-kare.
Favorite Filipino kakanin?
Kakain?
Kakanin, like delicacy.
Oh, delicacy. How's that different than ulam? Let's see. Puto bongbong?
Puto bongbong, yeah, okay. Okay. Favorite Filipino word?
Mahal.
Okay.
It actually wasn't. I couldn't. I felt it was very difficult to say what I was going to say.
Okay.
Wait, so I want to go back. By the way, for delicacy, I will choose balut instead. Balut.
Balut. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Favorite tourist spot in the Philippines?
Ooh, tourist spot. Probably Palawan.
Okay. If you see a shooting star, what would you wish for?
You know, I had a lot of things to wish for growing up, but I would like to say that at this point in my life, there's not much more I can ask for. So today, I don't really think I'd wish for anything in particular.
Okay. The best part about space?
The uncertainty. I think uncertainty kind of drives our curiosity and exploration.
Okay. And then for the final one, McDo or Jollibee?
Ooh. Well, in the Philippines, they have chicken at McDonald's too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So either one, because in the Philippines there's chicken, not in the US there's not. So either one.
Okay. So
Fun. That's great. Thank you for those questions.
okay. Yeah, so that ends this segment of the program. Thank you so much, Greg, for sharing your experiences and insights. It was really very informative and inspirational.